Hello, YouTube. My name is Alan, and it's that time once again. Let's talk metal. For this episode, we're going back into compilation territory and breaking down this particular compilation, Metal Meltdown Volume 3 from 1988. This was released on Medusa Records along with Everrat Records. Everrat, kind of an odd label name. It's a play on the name of the town Everett. So Everett, Everett. It's a town. I'm in the Pacific Northwest. I'm guessing Washington, since most of the bands on this compilation are from Washington. Everett was a small label, but did a few notable releases, like the Coven Blessed in the Black LP. They also did a really killer single by a band called Sachet. And yes, this is the most pink picture sleeve you will see today, or most days. But yeah, right there on Everett is Sachet. And the picture sleeve looks hilariously bad. Killer Single I've featured before. They owe a lot to early Raven in their sound. But Sachet is not on Metal Meltdown Volume 3, but some other bands are. I'm going to check a few of them out. I'll play a few clips and we'll kind of run through the track list here. First off, this is a volume 3. Can't quite see it with the stickers on the shrink there. So yeah, there were two volumes before this. I have Metal Meltdown Volume 1, and it's quite good. I've never picked up a copy of Volume 2. I see it from time to time, but either the price is way too high or the condition's way too bad. This is actually my second copy of Metal Meltdown 3. The first copy I've had for years, again, had some condition issues. There's a big punch out hole up here in the corner and stuff. But yeah, recently got a cheap copy in better condition, so I was happy to get that. And gave me a chance to revisit the album. The deal with the Metal Meltdown series was, as it proudly says on the top, it was made in the Northwest. All of these bands, for the most part, were bands from like Washington State. Probably had a couple from Oregon sneak in there from time to time. At least one California band got featured on Volume 1 or Volume 2. So, yeah, the West Coast, but yeah, primarily in the Pacific Northwest. Before we start through the track list, we should take a moment to appreciate the cover art here. Yes, that does appear to be some kind of like, knight riding a giant slug through a castle yard full of skulls, um, saying, "Welcome to Hanford." I'm going to guess that's some kind of local joke for folks in the Washington State area. Don't really know. But yeah, band list is here. Reading them off quickly. We've got Crisis, Coven, Tempt, Turmoil, Cypress, Prowess. A lot of bands with one word names. Then Kill Decor, Gypsy Kiss, Show and Tell, Lethal Dose, Dehumanizer, and Shock Treatment. Not exactly a who's who in terms of household names from heavy metal, but as you might suspect, there are some pretty good tunes hidden in here. So let's stare at the tiny print and see what we've got. First up is a band called Shock Treatment with a track entitled Flesh and Blood. And yeah, let's start off with a clip of that one. Not going to play clips of every song, of course, but we will do a few. And here's a clip of Shock Treatment with their contribution to Metal Meltdown 3, 1988. Yeah, okay, that's a pretty good way to open your compilation. Really forceful, energetic number. Vocalist is straining a bit, it sounds like, but really going for it. And just, yeah, really cool tune. Like the Shock Treatment song quite a bit. Shock Treatment is also featured on one of the other volumes. Checking notes over here on the other screen that's kind of a little higher. If I remember right, Shock Treatment's in volume 2, but I don't think they ever released anything else, which is kind of a shame. Let's see what we've got here. Yep, they made an appearance on volume 2, and looks like they did have a demo cassette looking thing from around 1988 also. So, yeah, not a lot of output. Seems like maybe a missed opportunity. Pretty good band, pretty good track to open the compilation with. And going back to that cover one more time, because yeah, you gotta love all the little hype stickers and stuff. Molten metal, Washington State style. Listen to this in front of the mirror. Why would you do that? And watch your face melt. Why would you want to watch your face melt in a mirror? Just, yeah, goofy stuff indeed. But Shock Treatment were not goofing around with that opening track. Really good one. Let's see. Up next on side one is a band called Cyprus, like the nation or island that's close to Greece. Yay, geography. And let's see, Cypress is doing a track called Judgment Day. I want to check out a clip of that one as well. I'm skipping the first few seconds of this one. It has the band doing the whole, sort of March of the Bride, dun 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 dun, dun, which, goofing for, a few seconds before the song gets going. So we're going to skip that and get right into the meat of Judgment Day by Cypress. All right, so yeah, really good track there. Kind of balancing out some US power metal and some thrash, but yeah, good heavy tune, really nice chops to it. Again, a vocalist that's going for it, but works really well. Cypress released some demo material here and there. So, this wasn't a one song and done band, but they didn't have a ton of activity either. They did put out just enough stuff, including a demo with the hilarious title of, wait for it, make sure we get this right, Blow It Out Your Ass. Now, there's a name for you. It's listed as an album on Discogs. I believe it was like considered a cassette only type of release. Yeah. And that didn't come out until like 1990, 91. They did have a CD from 92. I don't know anything about the CD. But Cypress is the possibly the only band on this comp that has gotten the anthology treatment. Right? This came out years ago. You got the Blow It Out Your Ass collection. And let's see, this is done by the ever reliable Arcane Steel label out of Germany. Arcane Steels was always really good at finding these kind of things where it was a cassette only album. Never had a vinyl press or a CD press, making sure some of that material gets into circulation. So yeah, cool that Cypress did get archived on the compilation. The quality of the track on the comp there shows you that yeah, they really deserved it. So far, this compilation's off to a pretty banging start. Both the Shock Treatment and Cypress tracks are great. So this, of course, is the point where things slow down a little bit. Track 3 is by a band called Tempt. Uh, Only thing I know of by them is this appearance. It's a lighter song. It's not like it's horrible, but yeah, this is definitely the point where you kind of catch your breath on side A. Track number 4 is by a band called Lethal Dose. I feel like that name's been used by more than a couple of bands over the years, but this particular Lethal Dose operates again in a pretty forceful manner, a little bit similar to the opening acts, where it's thrashy, but leans a little bit towards old school power metal as well. And Lethal Dose had an album out, and it was put out through that Everrat label. It's got a really brightly colored picture sleeve. I don't have a picture of it handy, but it's got like white and black zebra stripes, but then like a big yellow and reddish logo right in the center. It's kind of eye-catching, but not particularly attractive looking either. Kind of looks like a something from Anthrax's State of Euphoria era gone a bit wrong. The album has been reissued through Dive Bomb Records, who of course reissue a lot of this kind of stuff and do a nice job on their releases. So yeah, Lethal Dose had a little more material out than pretty much any of these other bands, with one or two exceptions. So yeah, folks may be more familiar with Lethal Dose. I'm going to skip playing that one. Side A wraps up with the band's Turmoil and Show and Tell, which again, they're okay. I don't think the bands ever did much of anything else. And so side A kind of, coasts to, the fade out grooves on your vinyl. But yeah, you've got, two really good songs with the opening pair of Shock Treatment and Cypress, and the Lethal Dose track is certainly no slouch either. 3 out of 5 for one side of a compilation is pretty strong. I'll take those odds pretty much any day. All right, moving on to side 2 over here. We open up with Coven doing 6669. You can see where this is going. Um, Coven, this is the Coven that did the Blessed in the Black album, which was also released on Everett. There are, of course, many bands named Coven. The one that did Worship New Gods is a different band. They were from over in the Michigan area, not here in the Pacific Northwest. So, uh, yes, folks know the Blessed in the Black album. It's always had kind of a minor cult status among fans. If I've heard the whole album, it's been so long ago, I don't remember in detail. But they're going for, again, a similar style to what we heard on side A. Kind of forceful, leaning into thrash a bit. Stuff like Hammer Witch or Early Metal Church comes to mind. And yes, the chorus for this one is basically, they're combining, the two best metals in number, 666 and 69, and splicing it all together for a chorus that's you can look it up and play it yourself. This is we're going to skip that one here. All right, so yeah, Coven, good way to start side 2. Next track is by a band called Gypsy Kiss. This band, looking them up on Discogs, they actually have several other releases, but they're not so much a metal band from what I can tell. This is one of the more lightweight tracks on the album, but it's not glam, and it's not like it's just, sad, limp-wristed James Taylor AOR rock or something. It's not bad for what it is. They're just, yeah, operating in, a little different style of rock music, and apparently, got a few other releases out along the way too. So it's for a non-metal track on a metal compilation. I've heard much, much worse. The Gypsy Kiss track is certainly playable. Sometimes when non-metal bands sneak on these things, they come up with just real garbage. But no, the Gypsy Kiss track is pretty cool for what it is. After Gypsy's Kiss, we have Prowess. I'm going to admit, I don't remember a thing about that song. I don't think the band had any other releases that I'm aware of. After that, you have a band called Crisis. This is spelled correctly, Crisis. I point this out because there are other bands named Crisis that did releases here and there, but some of them have it spelled differently with like a Y inserted along the way. This is not the same Crisis that did the EP and the rare 7-inch single. Again, this is a different band. They had a demo tape that's listed on Discogs. No other information about them. The song is okay. It's not a standout, but it's not a dud either. All right, moving on to track four. Oh, there's 12 tracks on this. I think I said before we had three out of five good tracks on side A. It was actually three out of six, which is still really, really good odds. So, working our way on through this last three tracks. We had Crisis, Prowler, Prowess, Crisis. Track five is by Dehumanizers. And as you can probably guess from the name, that's an act that leans a lot more into sort of punk or hardcore territory. This, for me, is the dud on the album. So, um, it looks like Dehumanizers has several other releases over the years on Discogs. I know nothing about the band's material otherwise, but this track just doesn't feel very good to me. I don't mind punk or hardcore or crossover stuff. It's not a genre I listen to very much or very often, but this song just doesn't seem to go anywhere. If I'd had to have guessed which band on here is least likely to have ever done anything else, they would actually have been pretty high on my list. And of course, they're the ones that probably put out the most stuff. But yeah, the song just feels kind of like a mess. Like they're wanting to do a crossover thing, but don't really know how to approach it yet. So a swing and a miss on that one for me, at least. Other folks may be into it. The sixth and last track is by a band called Kill Decor, kind of a weird spelling, K-I-L, then D apostrophe K-O-R. Kill Decor. I'm just sticking to that. The Kill Decor track is Break My Heart. The title sounds suspiciously kind of, ballad or glammy, but not really. Well, we'll check out a clip of this one and then chat about Kill Decor before we wrap this up. But yeah, let's hear what this Break My Heart track sounds like. All right, so yeah, Break My Heart's actually a bit of an ass kicker. It has a crazy style to it where it feels, yeah, probably low budget production kind of thing. And it has a slightly unhinged feeling to it. Like you're not quite sure how these parts are going together. You're not sure what's going to happen next. It feels like they could change tempos or time signatures at any point. But it all comes together and it's a really, really solid and fun track. Kildecor have done a few other things. They were on one side of a split 7-inch, which back then was a pretty rare format. In especially the 21st century, metal fans have gotten used to splits being a very common format. Didn't see a lot of that back in the 80s. But yeah, there's a single called The Northwest Connection. It has Kildecor playing Chained Angel on one side, and another great Pacific Northwest band called Max Planck. Yes, they're named after a physicist. And they do the other side. It's a cool single, rare one to find. Runs a couple of $100, like 150 probably minimum if you come across a copy of it. But yeah, both those songs are really, really good on the single. And Kildecor also had, a demo here, some kind of cassette release there. So there were some other songs along the way. And Kildecor did also get an anthology treatment. They were also, I should point out, on volume two of the Metal Meltdown series. But again, I don't have volume two. Someday I'll find a copy in decent shape for a decent price and I'll pick it up. But yeah, what is the compilation called? Okay, this one was called Chained Angels, the demos. It was done by Lost Realm Records in 2019. The big question is how much material is actually on it? Because that is one problem when you do anthologies of these smaller, obscure bands. It's great that people get to check them out. Sometimes these anthologies only have like three, four, five songs because that's all the band ever really recorded. Uh, Looking at the track list here, the Kill Decor includes Too Late, Chained Angel, Rocks, Break My Heart, Babylon, SOR, and Trust. One, two, three, four, five. So you get seven tracks. It's not too bad. It's, like short album length. And again, I've heard, a couple of tracks by the band here and there, like on this comp and the 7-inch, which I do have the 7-inch. I just forgot to pull it out. So show that another time, perhaps. But yeah, Kill Decor seems to be have been a pretty cool act. It's one of my favorite songs on the compilation here. So what's our tally for side two? We had Coven, cool track, fun. Gypsy Kiss, decent for a not quite metal track. Uh, Two sort of one and done tracks. The Dehumanizers thing, which just isn't my cup of tea, and then the excellent Kill Decor to wrap it up. So overall, you've got at least five really, what I'd say, very, very strong heavy metal tracks. So almost half the track list here is, yeah, big thumbs up kind of material. Makes that a nice compilation. And again, it is not an expensive compilation to pick up. It turns out that having a bunch of small acts on a compilation that features a dude riding a slug um, doesn't exactly make a high dollar collectible 30, 40 years later. So you can probably find copies of Metal Meltdown Volume 3 for like 20 bucks. 20 bucks should be a fair price to acquire a copy of this if you want. Bonus points to anybody who's willing to get this tattooed on themselves with the phrase slug life. I'm just saying, I'm not paying for the tattoo, but you will definitely get bonus points to your street cred if you do that. Anyway, that is going to wrap up our look at the Metal Meltdown Volume 3 compilation. Sooner or later, I'll probably get around to backing up and doing Volume 1. And if I ever lay my hands on a copy of Volume 2, I'll add that and we'll break that one down as well. Some of these bands, again, did get featured on more than one volume. There were only so many small heavy metal bands operating in the greater Washington state area that would record for Everrat on these compilations in the mid and late 1980s. So some bands got recycled, but hey, there's nothing wrong with that whatsoever. So now, time to talk metal in the comments down below. Anything catch your ear from the Metal Meltdown 3 volume? Anybody want to print this up on a badass looking? Okay, I tell you what, tattoo may have been too extreme. Let's do it as a t-shirt. Right there, this guy with Slug Life. That's manageable. The tattoo is probably too big a commitment, but t-shirt, I'm looking at you, Marty. That's right in your wheelhouse. I'd wear it. But yeah, which bands caught your attention? Are there some other compilations? Does anybody have volume two and can speak to which tracks are really good off of that one versus which ones maybe to take a pass on? And if anybody knows more information about, especially the smaller bands on here, maybe someone like Prowess did have a few demos or a cassette only album release that I've just never come across. I don't see it listed anywhere on, Discogs, Metal Archives, or the usual info sources. If you know something about those acts, by all means, it's always great to read about those things. Share what you know in the comments down below so other folks can learn about them too. All right, that will do it for today. So until next time, everybody take care. And as always, keep banging your head and ride that slug.